So for the last few months, Sony has been upgrading their box speaker lineup with their new XV family of speakers. First, we got the Sony XV900, which I personally really like because this is a very large battery-powered speaker that gets very loud, and it also has some cool-looking floor lights, and I also really like the Sony XV800. But now we have the smallest member of this family, the Sony XV500, which does have some refined upgrades over the Sony XP500.
Regarding pricing, the Sony XV500 has a retail price of $400, which is average for a box speaker of this size. But knowing Sony, I do expect this speaker to go on sale from time to time. Nonetheless, if you're going to pick this speaker up, it'll be linked down below, or you can always press on the YouTube shopping button. And if you want to further support the channel, pick up a Big Head approved hat, link down below. We've got trucker hats and snapbacks. By buying a hat, you help the unbiased and unsponsored videos coming, and it also helps us cover more products and produce more versus videos. Thank you to everyone who's already bought a hat, and look out for more designs coming soon. And also, please remember to hit that like button, and let's get subscribed. Now first, let's talk about the design of this speaker. The XV500 is slightly smaller and much more rounded than the XP500, and personally, I like it. Up top, the control buttons are now capacitive, but more importantly, they light up, which I think is super useful for at-night use. But besides that, the XV500 is very similar to the XP500. Both of these speakers are relatively small and easy to take on the go with you, and they both weigh in at around 25 pounds. However, from a durability standpoint, both of these speakers are IPX4 rated, meaning that some water or rain won't hurt them, but they both have mostly plastic bodies, which can be scratch magnets, and they both have a thin metal grille on the front, which can get dented easily. And unfortunately, the XV500 still doesn't have a speaker stand mount on the bottom, like with some other speakers out there. And when it comes to the light feature on the XV500, it's very similar to the light feature on the XP500. We've got a light bar up top that looks nice, and from Sony's app you can choose from a few different lighting modes. But if you want to customize the color of these lights, you have to use the Fiestable app. Overall, I feel that the light feature on the Sony XV500 gets the job done, but it isn't as dynamic as the light feature that you'll find on other box speakers out there. And keep in mind, if you do decide to use the light feature on this speaker, that is going to take an additional toll on the battery life.
However, when it comes to the battery on this speaker, the battery life on the XV500 has been upgraded from the XP500. Now, the XP500 has an advertised battery life of 20 hours, whereas the XV500 has an advertised battery life of 25 hours, a 5-hour increase, which is nice. However, this advertised battery life of 25 hours on the XV500 is with this speaker playing at 36% volume, with the light feature turned off, but with the mega bass feature turned on, which is good. However, 36% volume on this speaker is good for like ambiance, but it's not good for like when you have people over and you're trying to host a small event. And if you were to use this speaker with the light feature turned on, then your battery life is going to go down all the way down to 12 hours. But real-world use with this speaker playing at 80% volume and with the light feature turned on and with the mega bass feature turned on, then the XV500 is going to be good for around 8 hours of playback time, which is very similar to the XP500. And if you were to use this speaker at max volume and with the light feature turned on and with the mega bass feature turned on, then Sony says that it's going to be good for up to 4.5 hours of playback time. However, if you want to extend the battery life of this speaker, then you can always use it while in stamina mode. And what stamina mode does is that it's basically just going to turn off your light feature and it's going to turn off your mega bass. However, since stamina mode turns off your mega bass, then the XV500 is going to sound rather flat, but this is the sacrifice that you're going to have to make if you want your battery life to run for longer. Now, regarding connectivity, the XV500 can be connected to 2 devices at the same time, so you and a friend can both be DJ, and latency is not an issue for this speaker, so you can always use this speaker to watch videos with on your phone. And when it comes to audio codecs, the XV500 has support for SBC, AAC, and LDAC, just like with the XP500. However, just keep in mind that if you do want to take advantage of LDAC, you do have to be an Android user because iPhones top out at AAC, and if you do decide to use LDAC, that is going to take an additional toll on your battery life. But now let's talk about ports. Now the XV500 still has your standard 3.5mm audio jack, so you can always just use this speaker with a wired connection. But unfortunately, the XV500 still doesn't have an audio out jack. But more importantly, the XV500 does not have an optical port like with both the XV900 and XV800. So you cannot use the Sony XV500 as a soundbar with your TV, which I personally found was a very nice touch on Sony's new XV family of speakers, because it just gives these speakers more utility and more of an excuse for you to actually buy one of these speakers. However, the XV500 still has a USB-A port so that you can either plug in your own devices and charge them up, or you can always plug in a USB stick and play music off of it. Now, I think this USB-A port is going to be great and all for international markets. However, here in the States, I don't think that this port is going to get used all that much, because most phones these days just come included with a USB-C to USB-C charging cable.
But also, the XV500 has 2 1/4-inch inputs, so that you can either plug in 2 microphones for karaoke, or you can also plug in a guitar. Now, from the control panel on the top, you can actually go ahead and you can add an echo to your microphone. Now, this echo is only going to affect the microphone and not your music, and there are 3 levels to this echo, and right now I think it's maxed up. So that's a lot of an echo. Personally, I don't use an echo on my microphone, so let me just turn it off. Alright, but also there is a key function where you can adjust the key of your music, and just so that we can demonstrate that. Here comes a little bit of music. Right now, the key change, there's no key change. So now we're going to make it sound a little brighter. Just fine. So that's what the key function does. You can make it sound brighter. And this key change is only going to affect your music, not your microphone. Or you can make it sound deeper. Okay, so that's stopped. We're gonna make it sound deeper now. That's the lowest that it can go. But it actually goes deeper. Okay. And there we go, we're back. That's what those buttons do on the control panel on the back. So basically, you can add an echo to your microphone, and that echo is only going to affect your microphone, or you can change the key of your music, but you can't necessarily change the EQ of the microphone itself. Overall, the Sony XV500 is a good option if you want to do karaoke, because you can plug in 2 microphones. However, when it comes to like the customization of your sound, I do feel that it is a little limited, because personally I'm not going to add an echo to my microphone, and I think the whole key change thing with your music isn't super useful or practical. But with all that out of the way, let's talk about sound. Regarding speaker setup, there have been some minor changes here. Now, both the XP500 and XV500 have dual front firing woofers and dual front firing tweeters. However, the tweeters on the XV500 are a little larger than the tweeters found on the XP500. And also, the exhaust port on the XV500 now shoots out the front instead of out of the back like with the XP500. But before we jump into the sound test, we do have to talk about the volume performance on these speakers. Now, the XV500 has the same volume situation as the XP500. When these speakers are running off of their internal batteries, they can be a little quiet, so you have to use them at higher volumes when compared to other box speakers out there. And at max volume, when they're running off of their internal batteries, they don't get as loud as with some other box speakers out there that are running off of their internal normal batteries. However, if you use these speakers while they're plugged in, they get a very big performance bump. They get louder and they have more bass. Now, a lot of other box speakers out there also see a performance boost when they're plugged in, but the performance boost difference on the XV and XP500 is much larger than with other box speakers out there. But with all that being said, we're going to jump into the sound test. Both of these speakers are playing at 75% volume, and we're going to use them while they're plugged in and while they're unplugged, and we're also going to use the XV500 with its mega bass feature turned off.
Don't say we can't, oh, just don't say another word. These thoughts you've imagined aren't real, aren't adding up. You fetched your ideas from nowhere, oh, from another world. Your logic's impaired, your full picture is cropped. Cause we both know that one day they're just gonna try again. Without doubt, might say if all's gonna mend. We both know that one day the sun's gonna rise again. So don't pout for our sake, cause this ain't the end. We both know that one day the sun's gonna rise again. So don't pout for our sake, cause this ain't the end. We both know that one day they're just gonna try again. Without doubt, might say if all's gonna mend. We both know that one day the sun's gonna rise again. So don't pout for our sake, cause this ain't the end. Dear bright brain, you're so far off, oh, it's like you can't see ahead. These feelings you've caught don't make sense, your plan's gonna flop. You keep raising doubts without cause, all you feel is dread. My logic is fair, if it's pain, it's never gonna stop. Cause we both know that one day he's not gonna cry again. Without doubt, might say if all's gonna mend. We both know that one day the sun's gonna rise again. So don't pout for our sake, cause this ain't the end. We both know that one day the sun's gonna rise again. So don't pout for our sake, cause this ain't the end. The sun's gonna rise again. One day they're just gonna try again. Without doubt, it's our say if all's gonna mend. We both know that one day the sun's gonna rise again. So don't pout for our sake, 'cause this ain't the end.
So like you may have just heard, there is a big sound difference when the XV500 is unplugged versus when it's plugged in. So again, with the XV500, if you're going to use it while it's running off of its internal battery, you're going to have to use it at higher volumes. But when the speaker is plugged in, it sounds and performs very well. Personally, I recommend that if you're going to host a party with the XV500, you use it while it's plugged in. But from a sound quality standpoint, the XV500 does sound different from the XP500. First, the XV500 sounds a little more balanced than the XP500. It doesn't put as strong of an emphasis on the bass. But also, the XV500 has better instrument separation and it sounds more open than the XP500. And the XV500 has slightly more detailed highs than the XP500, and that's thanks to the newer, larger tweeters. But also, if you want a brighter sound signature on the XV500, you can always adjust its EQ to your liking, but personally, I like the stock EQ.
Well, finally, let's talk about pairing these speakers up with other speakers. Now, the Sony XV500 is using Sony's Party Connect, so you can wirelessly pair it up to other Sony Party Connect speakers like a Sony XV900, XV800, XP700, and XP500, or to an XV500, and you can pair up to 100 speakers together and get them to all play in sync. Or if you have two of the exact same speakers, then you can get them to pair and get them to play in left and right stereo mode. But the cool thing about Sony's Party Connect is that you can connect your larger box speakers to your smaller, more portable speakers that are also using Sony's Party Connect, like the Sony XG500, XG300, XE300, XE200, or to the XB43, XB33, or XB23. And in order to pair your speakers together, you can do that through Sony's app. Now, personally, I have seen that if you have up to 3 speakers paired together, things work just fine. However, I have seen that if you try to pair more than 4 speakers together, sometimes there can be some issues. Specifically, if you're trying to pair more than 4 speakers together, I have noticed that sometimes you have to go through the pairing process multiple times because sometimes some speakers just don't get added to the group, or sometimes skipping can happen. However, this usually only happens if there's more than 4 speakers in a group, but other than that, it works just fine.
But with all that being said, the Sony XV500 is a refined version of the XP500. Most importantly, it sounds better because it has a more balanced sound signature and it sounds more open. Design-wise, the XV500 looks a little better in my opinion because it's a little rounder, but more importantly, the buttons up top light up now. However, the XV500 still has the max volume performance situation as the XP500. It can be a little quiet when running off of its internal battery, but when plugged in, the speaker gets a big performance boost and performs just as you'd expect. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.